Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've ever sat down at your computer and just felt completely, utterly paralyzed by the sheer volume of academic literature out there, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to look at a highly systematic way to turn all that research overwhelm into a razor-sharp, focused niche. And we're going to do it using AI. We're drawing this from a really fascinating workshop led by researchers and professors in the EC2U Alliance. We'll be looking specifically at how they're teaching their own students to harness artificial intelligence to basically navigate this crazy sea of scientific literature.
To truly appreciate why we even need a workflow like this, we've got to talk about the scale of the problem. 5 million. Yeah, 5 million. That's the staggering number of new scientific publications released into the world every single year. And you know what? That number is only accelerating. There is literally no human being, no matter how dedicated, who can read, process, or synthesize that much information. It's an absolute mountain of data.
And, well, here's what that problem looks like in the real world. Let's say you're an early career researcher, right? You've got a broad interest, so you hop into a database, like Scopus, for example, and you search for climate change and buildings. Hit enter, and bam, instantly you hit with 36,000 papers. I mean, where do we even begin with that? How many months would it literally take just to read the abstracts to see if they fit your specific angle? It's just this impossibly broad starting point that leaves most researchers completely overwhelmed before they even really start.
Okay, so let's dive into this. To systematically conquer this literature mountain, here is our agenda. Number 1, the literature overwhelm. 2, the AI research loop. 3, step 1, broad search. 4, step 2, AI categorization. 5, step 3, refined retrieval. And finally, number 6, the ethical boundaries.
So, section 1, the literature overwhelm, navigating the sea of scientific publications.
Like we said, it's just a sheer impossibility to read tens of thousands of papers without some kind of help. You've got to weed out what experts call the false positives. You know, those papers that show up in your search but just don't actually fit the specific nuance of your topic. But here's the really fascinating solution we have access to today. Back in the day, as Professor Manuel Gamero points out, you basically had to become a fully tenured professor to get the privilege of having a research assistant to help you sift through all this data. But today, every single student and researcher starts their career with a world-class assistant available 24/7 right on their laptop. And that assistant is generative AI.
Moving on to section 2, the AI research loop, the search, refine, retrieve framework.
So this right here is our macro-level strategy for narrowing down a broad topic using a really clever iterative workflow. And a quick note here, instead of asking AI to read the papers for you, which we'll discuss later, you're actually going to use the AI to continuously sharpen your search parameters. Let's just walk through this visual roadmap. It's this elegant 3-step cycle. Step 1 is the broad search. That's getting your initial kind of messy sample of data. Step 2 is refine, where your new AI intern categorizes all that chaos and helps rewrite a much better query based on your instructions. And then step 3 is retrieve, where you take that improved query, plug it back into your database, and get a smaller, way better list. The absolutely crucial thing to remember here is that this is a loop. We iterate this exact process over and over until we hit the absolute sweet spot of literature. All right, section 3, step 1. Gathering your initial data sample.
Okay, this is where we transition into the tactical, really hands-on portion of our explainer. How exactly do we feed our AI this initial data? Well, it starts in a standard academic database like Scopus. You're going to want to follow these exact, actionable steps. First, just run that broad query. Then, sort your massive list of results by date so you're making sure you look at the most recent research. Now, here's the trick. Select the first 100 results and export them as a CSV file. But, and this is important, only select the abstracts and the links. Once that file downloads to your computer, simply rename the file extension from .csv to .txt. Just like that, you've got a perfectly clean text file containing 100 recent abstracts all about your broad topic.
Which brings us to section 4, step 2, letting the intern organize the chaos. Now we take that freshly minted text file and upload it into an AI tool. Something like Google's NotebookLM is great for this since it handles documents incredibly well, though you can totally use similar large context models. Once it's uploaded, you have to tell your AI intern exactly what you want it to do. So here is the precise prompt recommended by Professor Rodriguez. You tell it, in this file, I have 100 abstracts retrieved from Scopus. 1, organize the abstracts by subtopics, and 2, provide a summary for each subtopic. Notice how incredibly direct this is. You're giving the AI context and a crystal clear 2-part task.
Almost instantly, the AI is going to read all 100 of those abstracts and cluster them into distinct themes. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates the real power of this entire workflow. The AI organizes the chaos, sure, but you, the human researcher, you are the one making the strategic choices. You review the list it spits out, you might look at it and realize, okay, subtopics 1 and 3 are totally irrelevant to my work, but subtopics 2 and 4, say, passive design and thermal management, that is exactly what I want to study. So you just note those numbers down. And that leads us to Section 5, Step 3, Refined Retrieval, generating highly specific Boolean query.
So we know what niche we want now, right? But we still need to translate that human preference back into the language that the database understands. So you give your AI intern this crucial follow-up prompt. You say, I am interested in subtopics 2 and 4. Provide me with a new search query that removes the other topics and includes synonyms. By doing this, you're effectively forcing the AI to act like a master librarian. It writes this complex, highly targeted search string that completely excludes all the noise and hones right in on your specific interest. Just notice the visual contrast here for a second. On the left is your basic starting point, literally just a couple of words. But on the right, that is the sophisticated AI-generated Boolean search string. It is totally packed with ands, ors, specific keyword groupings, and exclusions that honestly would have taken you hours to format correctly by yourself. All you have to do is copy that complex string and paste it right back into Scopus. Just look at the before and after impact of running this loop. You started out with over 36,000 papers, way too many. But after just one single iteration, using the AI's complex string, you've narrowed it down to roughly 2,600 highly relevant papers. And here's the best part. You can do it again. Export 100 abstracts from that new list, run it through the AI again, select an even narrower subtopic, and suddenly, wow, you've completely shrunk an overwhelming mountain of data into a perfectly manageable, highly focused research niche. It's a total game changer. Finally, Section 6, the ethical boundaries. Navigating the limits of artificial assistance.
Now, because these tools are just so incredibly powerful, it really raises a vital question we have to talk about. Where exactly is the ethical line between you, the human researcher, and the AI tool? Because let's be real, it is incredibly tempting to just drop 50 full PDFs into the AI and ask it to write your whole literature review for you. But as the experts in this workshop quickly point out, generative AI is essentially a statistical pattern machine. It's not an oracle, and it is definitely not a source of absolute truth. It can, and for sure will, hallucinate fake citations if you aren't careful.
So the crucial point here is captured perfectly by Professor Rodriguez. He says, you cannot take the credits of texts that are not created by you. We cannot have the credit of ideas that are not ours. Simple as that. AI is an amazing, tireless assistant for sorting, categorizing, and querying, but it is not an author. The actual ideas, the deep synthesis, and the final written word, those must absolutely be yours. And all of this really boils down to one essential concept: human at the helm. This is the ethical requirement that you actively guide, supervise, and verify all AI outputs. Your AI intern might build this incredible map of the literature for you in minutes, saving you literal months of reading completely irrelevant papers. But at the end of the day, you must be the ultimate authority. You are the one who reads the final papers, verifies the facts, and checks the citations. The responsibility always rests with the human. Look, the search, refine, retrieve loop is an absolute game changer for navigating the millions of papers published every single year. It literally gives you your time back. But it only works if you bring your own critical thinking to the table. So, my final question to you is this: how will you implement your unique human expertise alongside your new AI intern on your next big project? Thanks so much for exploring this explainer with me, and I'll catch you in the next one.